Hello, Petals. How you doing? I thought I'd come online and I would do some recording because I really need to catch up. I'm so far behind on my chapters, it's ridiculous. But the main reason was because of hay fever, which is never a good thing, especially when it comes to September and it should all be gone by now. How are you doing? You know how things are going. And although I won't be able to answer all the time, please just have a chat in the comments because we like that. Makes us happy. We enjoy it. Right, so let's have a look. See, so as you can hear, my voice is still a bit rough, but I have my buttermint tea, and I've also got my nice cup of tea and lots of water, and it's gonna be awesome. So I'm gonna try and do a couple of chapters for now in this format, and then I'll carry on in my usual recording as I do. You know how it goes. So here we go. Hello, Petals. How you doing? I better use the right microphone. That'd be a really good idea, wouldn't it? Oh my goodness. Let's try this again, shall we? There we go. We'll use the right microphone. That'll make life a lot easier for us when we're recording. So you'll hear a lot of chuntering on, even I've still got a grunty throat. We enjoy this. Here we go. I'll try this again. Hello, Petals. How you doing? How are things going? How's life been? Apologies for the absence throughout the past week, but as you can hear, I still have a bit of a croaky throat, and there's not really much I can do for you when I've got a croaky throat and hay fever and all snotty and snuffling and all that sort of thing. But please, as ever, put in the comments, let me know how you're doing, let me know how you're going, how are things, and yeah, let me know how things are in your part of the world. I'm gonna not stand on any ceremony today, and I'm just gonna crack on and get on with it. God, it was a really busy week last week. My crikey. Okay then, so Paint Your Dragon by the amazing and wonderful Mr. Thomas of Holt, Chapter 3. Having parked his shape in Victoria Square, the dragon ambled down Colmore Row to Snow Hill and consulted the railway timetable. 3 minutes later, a rather bemused train pulled up. Narrator's note, a train being bemused. That's a concept. That's why Thomas Holt is amazing. I digress. Wondering, among other things, how the hell it had managed to get there from Dumfries in 180 seconds. Narrator's note again, I've actually done that train journey from Dumfries to Daunton, and 180 seconds doesn't happen. I digress. And he kind of bored. Colchester, he said aloud. The voice of the train, inaudible to everyone except the dragon, pointed out that the Snow Hill line doesn't go to Colchester. The dragon smiled pleasantly and invited the train to put its money where its mouth was. Alighting at Colchester, a place he had heard of but never actually been to, the dragon took a taxi to 35 Vespasian Street, explained to the driver, and climbed the stairs. I've lost my plot now. I've got to stop this and start again. Here we go. We shall delete that bit. There we go. And of course, this is the behind the scenes recording, so you'll hear me chuntering on, and I must apologise to that, but it is the way we do things. The top floor of 35 Vespasian Street is given over to a suite of offices consisting of a chair, a desk, a computer terminal, an electric kettle, an anomaly in the telephone network, and 743 filing cabinets. The door says L. Courtright Associates, Supernatural Agency. Lynn Courtright was on the anomaly when the dragon walked in. He was explaining to Horus, the Egyptian charioteer of the sun, that simply picking it up, moving it along in a straight line, and putting it down again without dropping it was no longer good enough to guarantee him full employment, and had he considered, for example, juggling with it or balancing it on a stick while riding a unicycle. As the door opened, he didn't look up, merely made a go away gesture. He was about to suggest training it to do simple tricks when he noticed that the receiver was back on its cradle, and he was, in fact, talking to the palm of his hand. He raised his eyes, impressed. "Hey," he said, "how'd you do that?" "Do what?" "It's purely instinctive with you, huh? No matter. What can I do for you?" "I'm looking," the dragon replied, sitting on a chair last seen 2 seconds previously under an actuary in Stroud and still quite warm, "for a job. I imagine you might be able to help." Mr. Courtright studied the chair for a while and then nodded. "Possibly, possibly," he said. "What do you do?" "What needs doing?" Mr. Courtright frowned. No, he said. "That's not the way it works. You gotta have an act before you come bothering me. Let's see. You can do telekinesis, right?" "Can I?" "Oh boy, a natural." Mr. Courtright sighed, rather as Saint Sebastian would have done if, just as the last arrow thudded home in his rib cage, he also remembered he'd left home without switching off the oven. Don't get me wrong," he added. "Maybe I can still find you something, if you don't mind touring. Done any poltergeisting?" And I'll stop here for a second. Hey, I'm just going to say hello to both of you. Thank you so much for being here, and it's great to see you. So thank you so much, and I'm going to crack on. So yes, anyway, big love. Right, here we go. Where was I? And both sides too. And you do telekinesis, right? Let's just double check. Poltergeisting, that was the one. Ah, so good to have you here. And I've lost my page. There we go. Let's crack on. The dragon's brow furrowed in thought until he looked like a fight between two privet hedges. Ever since he'd come back, he'd been letting his subconscious fill in as many of the gaps as possible, mostly by opening a direct line from his exceptional ears to his memory. In consequence, the backlots of his brain were stuffed with thousands of unprocessed eavesdroppings waiting to be filtered and condensed into usable, ready-to-wear background information. "Poltergeists," he mused, accessing a fragment of a documentary overheard when the taxi drove within a mile of a TV showroom. "That's a ghost or similar evil spirit who throws things. Yes?" "Yep. No. Sorry." Mr. Courtright's shoulders rose and fell like share prices during a closely contested election. "Okay," he said. "You want to learn?" "Not really. No. All seems a bit gratuitous, if you ask me. And besides, I don't plan on being here very long. So there's little point learning new skills." "Picky, huh? You got a nerve." "Several," replied the dragon absently. "In this body, anyway. The other one's just animated rock." Now, it took Mr. Courtright's brain 3/4 of a second to pick up on the words "this body" and "the other one," speculate on the significance, and dismiss the whole as too much hassle. "So, what did you used to do? Have you got an act then?" The dragon nodded. "I flew about breathing fire, making rain, that style of thing." "Dragon, huh? You're very perceptive." Now, after a moment's hesitation, Mr. Courtright correctly interpreted the dragon's remark as a compliment. "Not much around at the moment for dragons," he said. "Endangered species regulations," he added. Now, this seemed to confirm what the dragon had assumed about a national dragon shortage. "So, dragons are protected, are they?" Mr. Courtright grinned. "Dragons," he said. No way. Nothing in the legislation about dragons. Now, crocodiles, yes, which means the supply of raw material for the handbag trade is down to last knockings. But, if you're good, you can make dragon look like crocodile. You get my meaning. A corner as the dragon's mouth twitched.
I seem to remember you people having a saying, he said. First, Catchup. Been away a long time, have you?
The Courtright grin widened until it looked like the aftermath of seismic activity.
In which case, here's a tip for you. If you're flying along and you see something long and grey and kind of tube-shaped with little fins coming straight at you, don't try chatting it up or asking it out to the movies. They call them wire-guided missiles. And yes, thanks, said the dragon. I found out about those 4 myself. So there are still dragons about then. People seem to react as if I'm extinct or something. In these parts, Mr. Courtright explained, you are. In this century, in fact. That doesn't worry transtemporal poachers any. It just means that by the time they market the goods, they're also genuine antiques and therefore legal to sell.
Oh, the dragon shrugged.
But so long as I am now, I'm relatively safe. Safe.
Mr. Courtright savoured the word.
From poachers, maybe. I mean, chances are, if you stick around any year with 19 on the front of it, you won't suddenly find yourself full of powder compacts with a zip up your back. There are, he added, other dangers. Thought that might be the case,
the dragon replied,
which is precisely why I'm in plain clothes and looking for a job. You see, I have things to do in the here and now. Once they're done, I'm off somewhere and when a bit less paranoid.
I'll stop there for a second. Sorry, Ellie's just gone woo woo. So I've just got to go back. I forgot the where and when then. Right, let's have a little catch up. Third dimension, yes. Oh, first dimension. Well, oh, yes, you're absolutely right. It's weird. This year has been the worst ever. And I've had COVID again, of course, so I've been pretty battered for it all. So I shouldn't really say the C word, but it has been rough. So local honey, yes, absolutely right. I do like the local honey. We've got a lovely place around here, and they do both the whipped and the runny honey, and it's really really good. And I do like honey in my buttermint tea. Try buttermint from Twinings; it's flipping amazing. Right, where did I get to? I'm so sorry. I hope you don't mind if I keep stopping and starting. It's Rose, do you want me to put up the visuals of Audacity so you can see how I'm using it? I have things to do. In the here and now, once they're done, there we go. There you go. Off somewhere and somewhere. Okie dokie. I'll share the screen because that's always a good thing to do. Here's the screen. Window. Do. If I share the window, actually, no, you'll be able to see it anyway. Hopefully. There we go. Can you see my little mouse thing? What I'm doing with the mouse? Yeah, there we go. You can't see it on there. Awesome sauce. So I'm just going to play it back to myself. I'm off somewhere once they're done. Right, okay, I shall crack on. Okay, so you'll be able to see when I hit the record button as well. And because I mean, you can use hotkeys, but I think hitting the record button's like generally better. Okay.
I'm off somewhere and when a little less paranoid. While I'm here, though, I thought a job would help pass the time and help me blend in. Very wise. So,
Mr. Courtright went on, steepling his fingers.
Where are we at? Extragon? Extragon. Now then, let me see.
The dragon waited patiently while Mr. Courtright played with his computer.
Any luck?
Mr. Courtright pursed his lips.
Oh, well, he said, Like I say to all the kids just starting out in the business, when you're trying to make your way, sometimes you've got to do things you would rather not do. You sure about poltergeisting? Positive. Shucks. Hey, what's this?
He peered at the screen.
I can get you 6 weeks volcanic activity in Hawaii, covering for the local fire god while he takes his kids to Disneyland. All you gotta do is lie on your back and blow up through a small hole. Sorry, got to be in this country. Anyway, where's Hawaii? Please yourself. Gonna be difficult though. How do you feel about hallucinations? I beg your pardon. Hallucinations for health conscious people that are of a addictive nature. All the weird visions without actually taking their particular, you know, thing of choice, growth area, steady work. Not really me, somehow. I'd feel self conscious. Besides, don't you have to be a pink elephant? Boy, are you behind the times. Mr. Courtright frowned and tapped a few more keys. Okay, okay, you're gonna love this. This is really so you, security guard. Security guard. It says here, traditional security guard needed for substantial art collection. Full board. The successful applicant will be at least 14 feet long, green and covered in scales. No time wasters. There now. What can I say? Okay, said the dragon. When can I start?
George sailed through the air in a graceful arc and landed in a dustbin. Behind him came a voice, warmly recommending that he stay out. Now, after a short pause for regrouping, he climbed out, brushed trash off his person, and staggered away down the alley.
Seems like old times,
he said to himself, getting slung out of drinking establishments. Some things had changed, of course. For one thing, getting slung out was now a whole lot easier. Definitely a regrettable tendency to overreact. His mind drifted back to the bars of his youth. Pendle's, the roughest Saints bar in Albion. The Carlier Grill, the Grendel's torso. What the hell was wrong with this flipping country? Half an hour's slouching, lurching, and bumping into things brought him back to Victoria Square, and he realised that he didn't have anywhere to sleep for the night. He saw...
Immediately, said Mr. Courtright. Here's the address. Do well.
The dragon trotted down the stairs into the street and whistled. A moment later, a huge green shape, flying faster than the wind, descended on him, and he vanished. An empty plinth. He thought of his nice, warm statue, good, solid marble that didn't wobble about all over the place like this blasted cheapskate flesh and blood outfit did. Climbing the plinth, he sighed, closed his eyes, and was stone once more. I'm not saying, said Chubby Stevenson, his brain racing, it's impossible. Nothing's impossible. All I'm saying is, it's going to be tricky. 15 impassive tourist faces regarded him until he began to feel like asking for his blindfold and last cigarette. These people, he realised, don't want to hear this. Pity. It's all to do, he continued, cramming charm into the metre of his smile, with the fundamental nature of time. Now, with my supplies of raw time, I can prolong the present, no problem. In certain circumstances, I can sometimes recreate the past, not travel back in time. Now, that is impossible. Nobody can do that. What I sometimes do, for specially favoured customers, is make a synthetic recreation of a specific episode from the past using a raw time base, and they were not interested. He wasn't answering the question they'd asked him. Phew, these guys. The future, he therefore said, is something else entirely. Future's different from past and present. Future hasn't happened yet. If it hasn't happened, we don't know what it's like. If you don't know what it's like, you can't copy it. Now. One of the 15 leaned forward and, terribly politely, cleared his throat. With respect, his expression said. His lips didn't move and he didn't make a noise, but there was no need. Just as you don't need to speak fluent Gunt, nor that when a .44 revolver stares at you with its one big eye, it is politely informing you that you are very likely going to be unalived in the next immediacy. They knew this already. What they didn't know, and what they wanted him to tell them, was whether it was possible to arrange an artificial future in which certain specified events would happen, and if so, how much would it cost? If he didn't know the answer, the expression continued, then perhaps he would be good enough to say so. Chubby sighed and got a grip on himself. It can be done, he said. The principle is quite straightforward, simple even. The practicalities. Please explain the practicalities. Okay, it's all relativity, right? Travel faster than light around the Earth to accelerate forward through time once you're there. Or do I mean then, Mama? You said that whatever it is you want to happen in the future, like you want to bet heavily on the Super Bowl, you fast forward to the day of the match, see who wins. Now you can place your bet, provided you can get back to your own time or get a message back anyhow. Obviously, you can't get back yourself because Parside travels out. See above. Sending a message, though, that's no problem. Really? Trade secret, Chubby said. Now, normally he would have winked as well, but there was something about the wall of stone-faced scrutiny opposite him that put him off that particular idea. We can do it anyhow. The technical problem, of course, is finding your faster than light career. A soluble problem? I feel sure we can sort it out. Chubby lied. Of course, if we knew we'd be successful, we'd just get the courier to report back from the future on how he'd managed it. The same time as he passes back the Super Bowl results. But that's a bit to miss as far as I'm concerned. Sloppy, you know? Indeed, the 15 did. Sloppiness, the expression gave him to understand, was anathema to them. Chubby painted a smile over the cracks in his composure and continued. So, he said, you boys are going to have to let our R&D people kick this one around for a day or two. As soon as we've got the answer, you will report back to us in 48 hours. Very well. Chubby's Adam's apple bobbed like a Formula One lift. When I said a day or two, I didn't actually mean 2 days. I meant you are already suggesting a postponement. 72 hours, then. How would it be, Chubby croaked, if we call you when we're ready to roll? It'd be as quick as we can, naturally. You are asking for an indefinite postponement while you attempt to find a way to do this. Yes, we would prefer, said 15 expressions simultaneously. I'll try that again. Some of these flippin' sentences are like a roly-poly. Hey, goodness gracious me. Do. Yes, the immunity against pollen, absolutely. Okay, well, to be honest, this is a case of I love reading, I love books, and I love the books that I read. And I think it's easier if you're reading something that you really enjoy. You know, it's kind of like it makes life it's more simple. And also Audacity is one of the most incredible programs to use. It is so comprehensive and easy, you know. So basically what I'm going to do here is I'm playing back what I've just done. I always stumble over some particular words. I'm looking for the specified bit. Okay, I've lost myself completely. 15 expressions simultaneously. Right, we've got it. So we go to edit. And I must admit, I just do the most comprehensive way of doing this. Oh, crikey, I've lost me. There we go. There you go. A specified time limit. We'll try this again. So I just hit the record and I do a specified time limit. That is the way we do business. We trust you can accommodate us on this point. Just give me a week, will you? Chubby's tone suggested that he was Faust offering the devil double or quits, and even as he spoke, a small, rather naive part of his brain demanded, "Why are you so scared of these guys?" "By then, I'll have definite plans, costings, and all that kind of stuff ready for you to see. Agreed?" Long pause. It was like the moment of thoughtful hesitation on the seventh day just before man, having been assured by God that it was a nice little runner, genuine low mileage. Normally, you only get oceans of this quality on the top of the range models. Said, "Okay, we'll take it." Then 15 heads nodded. A moment later, the conference room was empty and a helicopter engine started up somewhere on the roof. "Right," said Chubby wretchedly to himself. "I guess I've landed this really big contract." I'll just pause it there for a second. Uh, well, the thing is, whenever I do any type of recordings, obviously because I've got problems with my lungs anyway, I always make sure that I warm up beforehand. And even then, you can hear my voice is still a bit croaky. Um, Also, I have got a voice therapist as well who's given me a lot of really, really good lessons on how to, breathe. And also, it's musculature, believe it or not. If you put your thumb under your chin, where your chin meets your throat, and if you actually speak, you'll see that your tongue is moving, and you need to make sure that it lifts because a lot of the time, as we get older, our tongue drops down. And I was fascinated by this. And of course, there's particular exercises you can do that lift the tongue and clear the airway. Because I also have a thing where when I'm coughing and the asthma's going crazy, I can't stop it, and it begins to get really, really, there's even a method where you can actually just hold a straw in your mouth and it actually opens up the airway so you can get breath in. It's really, really useful. Rose, I'll share it with you. It's very, very good information. But yes, speech therapists are the best people in the world as far as I'm concerned. So we've got to the end of that paragraph. So now we'll do this one. And trust me, there are some days when I have to go sentence by sentence by sentence. At the moment here, I feel like I'm sharing something with you, so it can be easier to flow, and I know I can stop and start. But yeah, it really also depends on the author and how familiar you are with how they write and the books they write. Anyway, let's be like, blah, 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 blah. We'll try this again. So next paragraph, we'll do it this way. It was a dirty, rotten job. Blink! A tiny globe of lime-rich water dripped from cavern roof to floor. But someone's got to do it, apparently. Oh, this stuff is so uncomfortable. Traditional security guard, substantial art collection. Whoever drafted that advertisement had probably spent some time in the estate agency business, learning in the process the art of making statements that are almost, but not quite, downright untrue. Now, the art collection was housed in a cave 200 feet below the Pennine Hills and consisted of about 300 tons weight of gold tableware. Very old, very vulgar, and extremely unpleasant to lie on. Cold, hard. Lots of handles and knobs and scutcheons to dig in ear. Plus, of course, the alluring prospect of being woken up just as soon as you've dropped off by some amateur hero with weapons, desperate courage, and a fleet of lorries outside the cave mouth with their engines running. It was as bad as being a guard dog, and he didn't even have a little ball with his name on it. The job, the dragon decided, sucks. No? The voice was still some way off, high pitched, almost feminine, a ploy, thought the dragon, and a piss poor one at that. Pound a penny, it's some muscular git in tin overalls making his voice sound funny to put me off me guard. He breathed in, savouring the mellow warmth of his own breath. Anybody home? The only one way he can come. Blah, blah, blah. I'll try that again. The only one way he can come. What? Eee. But as we've got, there we go. I don't remember this bit. Okay, here we go. Only one way he can come, and that's straight through that hole there. Just let him poke his head through, and his mates have to carry him home in an asbestos bag. Ah, there you are. The head, as he'd predicted, appeared, but it was female. There was no helmet, no nodding white plume. The dragon was so surprised, he swallowed his breath and got hiccups. Nasty. Are you, said the female, Mr. Wayne Popper? The dragon looked at her. My name, she went on, is Marjorie Evans. Inland Revenue? A tiny flare of green fire spurted from the dragon's right ear, evidence of the rather complex and horrible ear, nose, and throat difficulties he was currently experiencing.
Is that so? He croaked. Look, I do have a certain discretion in these matters, so I'm going to count up to 5, and then... Oh, hush it. Do excuse me, please.
For a few moments, the darkness of the cavern was illuminated by the sort of firework display you generally only get to see when there's an important royal wedding. Bless you, said Miss Evans, instinctively fumbling in her bag for a tissue. Sorry, you did say you are Mr. Popper?
I didn't say anything, replied the dragon, confused. Now get the hell out of here before I incinerate you.
I'll take that, said Mrs. Goodness gracious me, some things are so difficult to say. Right, here we go back again. Now, because we don't want a big gap, we normally go back to the very last note that we see here. You can see, you can zoom in, and you can even see there's a little bit there. So we've got to make sure that it's absolutely, and then we go right to the edge there. So we know that there's a little bit of sound there finishing off the word, although you can't exactly see it. And then we go back again. I'll take that, replied Miss Evans briskly, as a yes. She straightened her back, took out the notebook, and looked around, miming seeing the gold for the first time. Well then, she said, what have we here? Now, inside the dragon's brain, a debate was raging. The traditionalists were saying, you fool, here's a blasted hero. Well, all right, heroine, come and nick the goodies. So why the hell don't you just torture PDQ and have done with it? In another part of his brain, however, his loyal opposition was arguing that actually she'd given no indication that she was here to steal anything. She wasn't armed. She'd even offered a tissue when he sneezed.
Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry.
Tissue when he sneezed. There we go. I didn't say tissue this time. I love saying that though. Tissue. So, she didn't offer with tissue when he sneezed. So what? Retorted the traditionalists. I don't want to carbonise her, replied the opposition. She hasn't done me any harm. Chicken, taunted the old guard. No, replied the other lot. Dragon, same number of wings, but bigger and twice the legs.
It's a pile of gold,
replied the dragon in the meantime. Is it really? Miss Evans was writing in the book. Could you possibly explain to me how you came by it?
Said the dragon. I'm, looking after it for somebody else.
As the woman looked at him, non-aggressive, pacific even, smiling slightly in a mildly cynical way through thick lens spectacles, the dragon was aware of a feeling he hadn't had for so long. He could only just put a name to it. It disconcerted him. No end. He felt like he was in trouble. Really, said the woman, and might I ask who this other person might be? This, said the ruling majority in the dragon's brain, is crazy. One little puff and she's no sword, no armour, and it isn't even my treasure. So why do I feel as if I've just been caught with my talon in the biscuit tin?
Friend,
the dragon mumbled, not sure where the words he was saying were coming from.
Or rather, a bloke I met in a pub. Didn't catch his name. Just look after this lot for me, he said. Won't be a tick.
I see. That was all she said. I see. In the old days, when the dragon took to the air, the roads leading the opposite direction were clogged with nose-to-tail handcarts. He hiccuped again. Gesundheit, said the woman. Said the dragon, his vocal cords sandpaper.
Is there a problem?
The woman closed her notebook, clicked her biro, and put them both away. Mr. Popper, she said, let me be frank with you. I have to say I'm not really very happy with your story. I don't have to tell you. Defrauding the revenue is no laughing matter. For some reason he couldn't account for at all, the unfamiliarity of the concept, perhaps, or the bewildering lack of terror on the woman's part. The last three words she'd spoken were perhaps the most unnerving things he'd ever heard a mortal say. When you consider that they were competing against such strong contenders as take your 10,000 archers round the back of the hill, we'll attack you from here with our 20,000 cavalry, and if he had any idea that we'd just put it in there, he wouldn't be drinking it. Maybe you can get a vague glimpse at the dragon's complete bewilderment.
All right, he said. I'm not Mr. Popper. I just work for him.
The woman smiled. It was actually quite a pleasant smile. In her spare time, she probably made fur fabric mouse bookmarks. I had already guessed that, Mr.
Dragon.
Mr. Dragon. She pulled out the notebook again. But there is such a thing as being an accessory, you know. I really would urge you to cooperate with us.
Sure.
A minor seismic event, last echo of the hiccups wafted blue flame out the dragon's left ear. If only, snarled his subconscious, I could accidentally sneeze at her. All they'd ever find would be charcoal, and I wouldn't even have done it on purpose. But no sneeze came, and the dragon had to suffer the indignity of listening to himself telling the woman everything he knew about the job. Mr. Popper's enormous property deals, payments made in gold for, what had he called it, fiscal convenience? All kinds of things he scarcely understood himself. While she wrote carefully, nodded and then closed her notebook, thanked him very politely, and left the way she'd come. A moment after that, he inflated both lungs and blew the biggest flare of extra hot red fire he'd ever managed in his life. It melted the walls of the cavern, but it didn't reach Miss Evans. He could hear her inch-and-a-half heels still clippity-clopping down the winding tunnel. Thanks to his belated efforts, however, the hole in the wall was now almost sealed off, and he couldn't get through to press home the attack.
Shit! He roared. What's happening to me?
Nobody said anything, but his deranged imagination made him believe that, in the dying echoes of his own roar, he heard a mocking voice asking him, whose side was he on? I'm just going to stop there for a second. You don't want to blow your voice out at any point. And when it comes down to shouting and that sort of thing, you can always increase the volume of a particular part by just doing effect, volume, and compression and amplify. So you can always like amplify a particular part. I'm thinking as long as you've got the strength of the shout in what you're saying, you don't have to actually shout, if that makes any sense. So you can actually put an echo effect on, or you can amplify it, make it louder, make it more bassy, make it stronger. But yeah, one most important thing is not to blow your voice out by shouting too loudly. There we go. Just a little bit of a tippity tip top. Oh, goodness gracious. Please excuse the noise. Tea was necessary. I digress. Onwards! Quite soon, Bianca said, I shall have had enough of this. I think you ought to tell someone, Mike replied, calmly folding the tarpaulin which, removed a moment or so ago, had revealed St. George returned and the dragon gone.
There's two possible explanations, and one of them demands that we believe in the existence of a practical joker with access to helicopters and heavy lifting gear, who's capable of swapping enormously heavy statues around in the centre of Birmingham at dead of night without anybody noticing.
That's absurd.
Obviously. Therefore, Mike continued, we're dealing with the boring old supernatural. You've got to tell someone, otherwise it'll invalidate your insurance.
Bianca scowled. That's absurd too, she said.
Tell you something else that's absurd while I'm at it,
Mike responded, shoving the folded tarpaulin into a cardboard box.
and that's bloody great statues playing hide and seek with themselves in a public space.
We can't tell anyone, Bianca objected. They'd never believe us. They'd lock us up in the nut house.
Maybe, Mike shrugged. At least then, this would be someone else's problem. Right now, I could fancy somewhere dark and cool with bendy wallpaper.
Bianca was silent for a moment. Then she started to rummage in her tool bag. I know one thing I am going to do, she said.
Oh, yes?
I'm going to chip off that ridiculous moustache.
Mustache?
I'll try that again.
I've forgotten how to say mustache. That's moustache. I can't believe jeepers. Right, so we'll just delete this. Make sure we're at the end of the thing. So that's at the end of the tone. So at the very end of the last tone. No imprint would notice. That's true, I guess. Of course, that's your area of the world, isn't it? Mustache. Mustachioed. Sorry. Oh my goodness gracious, that was so funny. Okay, we'll try this again. Okay. Just for 1 minute. I'll say mustache. Okay.
I'm going to chip off that ridiculous moustache.
Oh my god, I'm going to try again. So another way we can do it is we can undo take us back to it's a fish and chops. No, fish and chops. Or the fish and chops, or the fish and chops. Oh my goodness gracious. You guys. Okay, I'm not looking at the chat for a minute. I've got to just do mushy please. I've got to say mustache and all I'm going to be thinking about is mushy please. You guys. Right, I'm not looking at the chat for a minute while I just finish this paragraph and then I'll stop it properly. Oh my god. Whew. So we've got to recenter and I'm not looking.
I'm going to chip off that ridiculous moustache.
It doesn't sound right. Mustache. You see, I want to try and do it in an English accent, and I'm used to saying mustache. And then she's like, moustache. Is it mustache? Moustache. Okay, we'll try it. This last time we'll try it, and whatever I turn out with, I'm gonna just have it as this one.
I'm going to chip off that ridiculous moustache.
Does that sound right? A pint of bongs and a beer night. Moustache. Oh, fluff it. I don't care. I'm leaving it as it is. I'm not gonna worry about moustache. It's like it's moustache, but is that how like people of standard English say it's like moustache? Oh my goodness, that'll be a question for the ears, won't it? 7 minutes left in this chapter, but we might even go on to 2 if you're lucky. But we'll see how I feel at the end of this one. Oh, you right. Try again. So I'm boinking the little button there to make sure I'm at the other end. Dismissed without references for gross breach of confidentiality, the dragon swished its tail dispiritedly and flew east. En route, it had a run-in with 3 F-111s, F-3s, F-3s, fluffing blah, blah, blah. Try that again. F, because it's in Roman numerals, but it looks like 111s. So they didn't use Roman numerals. We'll try this again. I'm so sorry. Lip warm. Soup strainer. Where there? Try it again. En route, it had a run-in with 3 F-3s, hastily scrambled by a gibbering controller at Bryce Norton and armed with everything Father Christmas had left in the RAF stocking for the last 6 years. In due course, the pilots ejected and, save for a broken leg and some bruises, landed safely.
Most of the bits of aeroplane came down in the sea, which the dragon mused as it continued its flight, only makes the business with the taxwoman all the more disturbing. Guy, said Mr. Courtright, having heard the tale, believe me, you were right to trust your instincts. You just don't tangle with those people, not ever. Shame about the job, but you did right. Besides, he added with a shrug, there's the morality of the thing to consider. The forces of evil got to stick together, right? I beg your pardon. Mr. Courtright gave him a puzzled look. Evil, he said. Your team. You represent the forces of darkness, and so do they. You go welshing on your own kind, you'll never work in this business again. From Colchester, Mr. Courtright promised him faithfully to let him know as soon as anything suitable came up. He flew fast and high to the Midlands, found his plinth and porked. Getting out of the cavern had used up most of his fuel supply, and dealing with the aircraft had polished off the rest. He was tired and upset, and he needed a rest. Evil? What did the little creep mean? Evil. George woke up. Deep down in the very marrow of the stone, his head hurt. He felt sick. What, he asked himself, would come up if I was? Probably gravel. There was something underneath him. Slowly, moving his head was a wild, scary thing to do, comparable to setting off in 3 small boats to find the way back to India. He looked down. He looked up again, rather more quickly. Oh, God, he said to himself, please let me be hallucinating. A tentative prod with the tool persuaded him otherwise. Horribly solid, sphincter-loosingly real. And I'm directly above it. He waited. When the dragon didn't make a move, he risked breathing. Still no reaction. With extreme diffidence, he reached down and prodded with the point of his sword. Kink! Nothing. It was only a statue. Nothing more. Fuck that, George reflected. So am I. And people who live in marble overcoats shouldn't prod dragons. He waited a little longer, each second dragging by like a double geography lesson. He wasn't at all sure that he understood how this statue business worked, but either the dragon simply wasn't at home, or it was waiting for him to make the move. In the latter case, staying put was simply prolonging the inevitable. He braced himself, took a deep breath, and jumped. Now the crowd rushed up to meet him like a long-lost creditor. He landed, swore, and roared. His head protested in the strongest possible terms. The dragon didn't move. He stood up. Gotcha! He had now, of course, shed the marble and was back in a conventional human skin, but not for very long. Oh, piss. Hold on a minute. I did the wrong person. Now, what I could do... Okay. So you see here, I've actually done a male voice instead of a female voice. So what I do is I can put in a new stereo track. This is a very sneaky way of cheating, of kind of like making a mistake better. So what we do is we do here, we silence it. Meow. We choose this track. Beep, 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 beep. Just about here is where we want to record. And then we've got to stop it as soon as we get to here. Okay. So, gotcha. There we go. So what we can do as well is we can just delete this. And we can put that there a little bit and see if we've got the timing right. And then hopefully this should... There we go. It works. Sorry, trust me, you can't hear it like this, but this is basically how I do an amendment if I've done the wrong voice, which happens often. Trust me. Okay, you don't want to hear me doing that. I swore. Oh, dear me. Right. Oh my goodness. Eyebrow smugglers near hair. What? My goodness. Oh my goodness. All this. I love the fact that you're having a good chat here. This is wonderful. Oh, lovely. I like it. Right. Here we go. Okay, I'm just gonna make sure that's perfectly silenced there. There we go. Nice. And that's how we use multiple tracks as well. That kind of like really helps to mix things in and that sort of thing. Especially if you're doing lots of different voices, it helps if you don't want to like ditch between lots of different people. So, and also if you're having collaborations with other people as well. So yes, so I'm going to push it to the end. Where do we get to? So it's for very long because you don't want to hear me saying that. Delete. Because Bianca's voice and the slap of her hand on his shoulder made him jump out of it. He said, "Eek!" and turned white, all in an impressively short space of time. "And where the hell do you think you're going?" His brain reported back off sick leave and mentioned to him that the creature holding his arm was not a dragon so much as a defenseless girl. "That's all right then." He put the palm of his hand in her face and shoved. Then he ran. A moment later, he was lying on his nose, a state of affairs he was able to trace back to someone grabbing hold of his feet. "Get off!" he screeched. "There's a bastarding dragon after." Then Bianca hit him on the head with a 2-pound mallet. We are having a lot of fun today. Seriously, I'm loving this. I'm very grateful for this stream. Thank you to Fat Cat Gaming and Rose Brady for being absolutely wonderful. We love you. I'm going to just finish off this particular chapter in the way that I normally would so I can carry on recording. Don't want to be recording that bit. Blah, blah, blah. So I'm not going to do a song on this one because I'm just being silly. Here we go. So I'm going to close this chapter down so we can, if you would like, I'm not sure how long the next one is. Let's have a look. Is it a short one or is it a long one? Oh, it's a bit of a long one for the next one, so I might have to do that one separately from today. So, yes, I'm going to stop this recording now so I can get this one produced and up on thingy, and then hopefully I'm going to do another one tomorrow. But I'm so grateful that you've been here. Flutterbies! Flutterbies! I love flutterbies. I love that word. Chaos butterflies. Have you heard about thunder pollen? Talking about chaos butterflies and thunder butterflies. Butterflies have zero sense of direction, randomly charging direction, help change. Really? That's interesting. Is that the same as flies? And I've got to admit, having these little live streams is actually quite fun because I learn the most wonderful things. I never knew that butterflies have zero sense of direction. Randomly changing direction helps avoid being eaten by predators. And that's from Flat Cat Gaming. We love this. We love this. Flutterbies, butterflies, mustaches. It's been one heck of a recording today. I love this so much. But take it easy. Stay safe. Keep warm, keep cool, keep hydrated. And yes, I'll be back soon. Take it easy, Petal. Have fun. Oh my goodness, that was a terrible sign off. But you know, it's how we do these things. So when we want to have a look through, just a little bit of an extra bit for Roars here and well for you both actually. So first of all, we want to analyze and measure the RMS. So we want to see, and it'd be a good idea if I actually selected it. Actually, first of all, I'm going to export the audio and mix it down into one track. So this was chapter what now? Chapter 3? God, I'm so behind. I'm so sorry. Okay, chapter 3. Dragon. There we go. Edit the metadata because we got to have metadata because if we didn't, we would just know. Dragon. There we go. Goodness me, I should be much further on. I should be up to chapter 6 by now. I'm disgusted with myself. No, chapter 6, chapter 3. There we go. Okay. Trust me, there is something decent I'm going to show you. So you see it's still a WAV file at the moment. So we export that. Boop-de-boop-boop-boo. We close this down. Close. No, thank you. File. And then we open it again. Chapter 3 Dragon. Open. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to share the screen. I'm going to share the screen here with you. I don't think there's anything that you don't need to see, which is awesome. So this is the share screen. So let's hopefully make this a bit do. So
we mixed it all down. As you can see, it's now, both tracks are down now into one track. Do you know something, Flat Cat Gaming? I followed BTS from day dot, from pre-debut, and I said they're going to be absolutely huge. And my best friend Kelly and I went to see them just before COVID, was it? In London's O2, and they were incredible. They still are, but I mean, most of them are doing their national service at the moment. But yeah, they are a fantastic band. It's like this goes like there's Min Yoongi, who's Sugar, there's Jin, there's RM, well, Rap Monster he was actually originally called, but that's not Kim Nam, that's not Kim Namjoon. I'm gonna whiffle on about them now. I can't remember their flipping names. This is so awful. Yoongi, hold on. How am I miss Jungkook? Taeyong, because we've got nicknames for them all, you see, that's the problem. Sugar, Jin, oh, freaking Henry. Sugar, Jin. I've got to go by who's the little one who dances? What's his name? The pretty one. I can't remember his name. Oh, anyway, it's because I haven't talked about them for so long. So, yes, but yes, I was quite a big fan of, I still am quite a big fan of them. Fire is actually still my ringtone. In fact, I'm going to see if I can just do it here. Obviously, for copyright reasons, I can't play much of it, but we shall go to Samsung Music. This is how sad I was. No, I'm not sad. I'm actually quite proud of them. I love them to bits. Here we go. This is actually my alarm. It's what wakes me up in the morning. That's what I'm going to play you of that. The thing is, it's, well, to be honest, there's a lot of bands in K-pop. If you look deeper into it, they're absolutely incredible. Big Bang. If you like, look at Big Bang's song "Bang Bang Bang." It's brilliant. It's got such a decent bass. Big Bang are a great band. Twice are absolutely brilliant. There's another girl band who are, I'll have to put it in the comments, but they Magnolia was one of their tracks, and they are phenomenal. They're like a female Korean rock band. But my thing, Eye of the Tiger, nice one. I love it. That's, yeah. And Toto would be a good one. Africa would be another one. But the thing is, as Rose knows, I am a huge muso. Seriously, anything from classicals and opera. Camina Burana by Orff. The O Fortuna is actually one of my favourite opera, arias. Well, it's not really an aria, I suppose, but O Fortuna, Empress is stunning. It's just so powerful. But anything from opera right the way down to thrash and punk and grunge. I was more grunge, to be honest, in the 90s than anything else. Absolutely freaking loved it. But I also like the Southern rock as well. We were having that conversation. I cannot wait till we hear Rose doing the Royal Nibbleness stories. That'd be great. Gilbert and Sullivan, yes. There once was a very, I can't remember the what was the Admiral? I need to learn that song because that'd be so much fun to do. That'd be really good fun to do. But yes, Gilbert and Sullivan are absolutely brilliant. What was I going to do? That was it. I was going to show you how to oh goodness me, just analyze it. Here we go. Analyze, measure RMS. So we need to select all. Just if ever you're putting anything on YouTube or anything like that, you need to convert it. So if I'm doing a recording for ACX or anything like that, I will go through and make sure every single thing is within the limits. So measure RMS. Right, that's at 32.5. It needs to be at 22.55. So effect, amplify. So it's 32. So we're going to amplify it by 10 just to get the actual basic amount. So shit, I did chat a lot. Analyze, measure RMS. It's now at 22.5. So we'll minus that by 5. Minus 0.5. What I'm doing here is I'm just doing it so it actually gets to 22.55. Why is it at 23 now, for crying out loud? 0.45. Come on now, cross fingers. Do the thing. Analyze. Right, so we're at 22.55. Here, it's the center one we're looking at, okay? So as you can see as well, there's a lot of ones that are, if I was doing this for ACX, I would literally correct every single one of those because they're slightly higher pitch. But Rose, if you do ever want to do that and correct these, and it can be tedious, not gonna lie. Come on here. Right. So we basically select one. And then what I normally do is I select that, analyze it, see how much higher it is. Okay. And then I basically go effect. And then, oh God, can't even do the thing. Volume and compression, amplify, and then I'll minus it down, minus, say if it's 6, 1.6, and you take it down a bit, yeah? So, undo amplify, there we go. So then, analyze, measure RMS, select it all. Analyze, measure RMS. So yes, we're at 22.55. So file, export the audio again, export to computer. So I've got all my bits and bits there done. Yay, so we want to replace it. And then we're going to use another program, which is absolutely fantastic. I've got to say, Audacity and Freeac are both free programs, and they're stunning in how good they are. Oh, the periodic tables. That's the thing. It's Bare Naked Ladies. Yeah, Swamp Rock is amazing. And also bluegrass covers. Hey, hello. Nice to see you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Oh, Kozlowski. I might have pronounced that wrong. Kozlowski. That's a freaking stunning name. Love it. Right. Soros, what we do is we add from the file audio files. As you can see, I've recorded 1 or 2. So what we have here, and I can go through the whole setup of this one. This is your MP3 encoder, and it's what it does is it kind of like makes the whole file from a wave to an MP3, but because it's 22.55 on the decibels, it makes it all blended down. So it's kind of, the easiest way to say it is it blends it so it records well for YouTube. And so all we do here is we have that one selected already because it's got the little cross in there. Doopy-doopy-doo. And that will go to its own folder separately. And generally it will go to, if I move this one over here, and it goes on my other drive. Okay, and you'll see here, it should go here. And you see here, it'll have its own sort of, you can play it through VLC, you can play it through anything else. Doopy-doopy-doo, don't play while I'm doing something. But yes, this is all doopy-doos. So I can go through a little bit further at another point. I'll just stop that for a minute. It's going to my earphones. Right then, my lovelies. So that's a little bit of a show as to how we do things and over here. And we've done another chapter. We've done chapter 3, which I'll put up the produced version very shortly. And then, of course, hopefully we'll be able to do another one of these at some point. Maybe I might do a few more this week because I really do want to catch up the chapters. But yes, or as always, leave a comment if you'd like to. This will go into the live section of the live playlist section. And yeah, big love. Have an awesome day, and I'll talk to you soon.